All right. Hello, everyone. Guten Tag, bonjour, добрый день. This is me, Zeno77, today speaking to you, talking to you. We're having this great stream today. As always, we do it nowadays, as we try to at least do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is our new streaming day. Now, obviously, before we start, we're going to wait a couple minutes till all of you new people gather all around together. Now, I'm trying a new feature here in my studio. So if there's some times where I mess up a bit, just tell me this in the chat. And starting off today, are obviously going to be important topics, but there's a reason I call this stream Modern Problems, because we're actually going to discuss some of the modern problems that I at least often see in 2024. Mhm. Give me a second. Yes. So the problems that I'm talking about, we're obviously going to be tackling the issue of internet specifically, but we're also going to tackle the issue of racism. Yes, we are tackling this issue because it is often interesting to look around and watch. Okay, how is this still a problem in 2024? But we're going to do it from a different perspective. I saw this title called Racism Against Indians Online, and I honestly have no idea what this video is going to be about, so I'm going to be watching it the first time. And we will be discussing some of the topics. But I find it very interesting that a lot of the times the idea even of racism is only shared, if, as we can often see, specifically to a specific kind of people. So it's only targeting racism against, so to say, black people, which again I'm not for. I obviously am against all forms of it, but I think it's important that we actually understand what this is, because it is discrimination in the first place. Like, in general, this is discrimination. Well, give me a sec. I hope you haven't seen any any QR codes here, because there's literally that's nothing mine. Again, I'm going to say this before you start asking me questions. And going back to the video, uh, this whole idea that there is only racism towards black people is not correct, because there is still obviously there are some obviously places where it still exists, but we also need to look at some other perspectives as well. And another problem that we have nowadays is our favorite Gen Alpha problem. Yes, because how will they change society forever? I know this is an old video, but look, it has 1.3 million views, and I think it's gonna be a great background for us to start. So we've been waiting a couple minutes. I think we can easily dive into the reaction, and yeah, even do the
यार आप सब
introduction. All right. He doesn't have advertisements. Nice. I already like it. I already like the video. Okay. So I hope you're good. Let us do the YouTube introduction. So, Racism Against Indians Online, a video by ChatTag. I obviously never watched this creator. I've uh never ran into him in any shorts, but it's a part of our Thursday streams. We discover new creators, we talk about their content, and this young fella is one of them. And the reason I picked this video is, as I said at the beginning of the stream, racism is a problem. It's a huge problem that we need to talk about. But the thing is, only focusing on one group of people, we forget that it's first of all discrimination, and discrimination based on color of someone's skin exists not only to black people, but it also includes a lot of other groups. And specifically, why I decide to talk about Indians is generally random, because I ran into this on YouTube. What can I say? I think that without further ado, we can start the reaction and then we can dive into this more deeply.
यार आप सबको पता होगा कि कुछ लास्ट 3 मंथ से इंटरनेट पे इंडिया की जो बहुत ज्यादा बेइज्जती की जा
Okay, if he's going to speak Indian, I'm not going to understand anything. We need some settings, guys. We need some. Give me English introduction. What the? Well, that's going to be unexpected. This is actually going to be unexpected. Wait, where's English? Oh, I remembered. I'm doing this in French.
रही है, रेसिज्म की जा रही है, ट्विटर पे देख लो, इंस्टा देख लो,
This is what Pajit will turn in Canada into in 2050.
गोरे लोग जो है वो मतलब हाथ धोकर ही पीछे पड़ गए हैं, मजाक बनाए जा रहे हैं, इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स का मर्डर तक हो जा रहा है, इंडियंस को खुलेआम पजीत
Where are
कहा
my
जा रहा है।
subtitles? I don't understand Hindi.
एंड दिक्कत ये है कि ब्लैक लोगों के खिलाफ रेसिज्म हो तो वो डरते हैं, वहाँ पर जेल वगैरह हो जाती है, बट इंडियंस के साथ रेसिज्म हो रही है तो कुछ फर्क ही नहीं। कैसे पीछे पड़ेंगे माँ बाप? अब उनकी भी गलती नहीं, उनको अकल नहीं है, नॉलेज नहीं है, किसी ने सिखाया।
Okay,
दिक्कत
there
ये है कि
are
ब्लैक
some
लोगों के खिलाफ
subtitles that appear.
एब्सोल्यूट किया है कि
So
ऐसा नहीं।
we might try to comment on the subtitles, but it's going to be hard. I don't think I'll be posting this on YouTube because it's going to be super hard to explain.
दिक्कत ये है कि ब्लैक लोगों के खिलाफ रेसिज्म हो तो वो डरते हैं, वहाँ पर जेल वगैरह हो जाती है, बट इंडियंस के साथ रेसिज्म हो रही है तो कुछ फर्क ही नहीं पड़ रहा है। अभी पीछे से शिप टकराई थी एक, जिसको इंडियंस ड्राइव भी नहीं कर रहे थे, बस
Just
इंडियंस
saw
बैठे हुए थे,
subtitles. What the Jesus?
उसमें भी इंडियंस के साथ बहुत रेसिज्म की गई एंड भर भर के पोस्ट्स बनाई गई। एंड इसके ऊपर बहुत सारे यूट्यूबर्स ने, ट्वीट अकाउंट के होल्डर्स ने ट्वीट्स किए हैं एंड गोरे लोगों को क्रिटिसाइज किया है कि ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। बट आज मैं एक डिफरेंट पॉइंट की बात करूँ। आई बिलीव अंग्रेज लोग अगर हमारे साथ रेसिज्म कर रहे हैं तो बहुत गलत बात है। इट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली अ बैड ह्यूमन बिहेवियर, बट उसके साथ ही साथ यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आग वहीं लगती है जहाँ पर चिंगारी हो, और हमें सिर्फ दूसरों पर उंगली उठाने की बजाय अभी खुद से भी क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहिए कि हमारे साथ इतना ज़्यादा क्यों हो रहा है, दिक्कत क्या चल रही है।
Okay, so as I understood, he's trying to figure out why this started. I hope you can see why. I'm gonna put my screen on top so that you can see the subtitles as well. Give me a moment. Yeah. So I think he's gonna try to understand where did this all come from.
सो इसीलिए इस वीडियो में मैं उस बारे में बात करना चाहता हूँ जो हम अपने में फिक्स कर सकते हैं, अपने में इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं, ताकि इंटरनेशनली हमारी इमेज थोड़ी फिर से क्लियर हो जाए। क्योंकि
Bro, I like this guy. I mean, I don't understand a single word that he's saying, but if you trust Google subtitles, he's doing a great job. He's not trying to blame anyone. He's trying to think, okay, it started for a reason. Let's figure out what we can do to make it stop. That's self-accountability that I love. That's great, man. Keep going.
पहले थी, आज के टाइम पर रेपिस्ट, स्ट्रीट शीटर और पता नहीं क्या क्या बन गई है। तो सबसे पहली चीज़ जो हम इंडियंस कलेक्टिवली अपने ऊपर फिक्स कर सकते हैं और इसको टैबू बनाना बंद कर सकते हैं, वो है यार अपनी फिजिकल हेल्थ की केयर करना। पता नहीं क्यों यहाँ पर इतना बड़ा
lifting weight in the gym. Well, you know that is bad for you.
टैबू। अगर आप अपनी स्किन की केयर करते हो, अपनी हेल्थ की केयर करते हो, प्रोटीन खाते हो, मतलब ये तो मैं बोल बोल के थक गया हूँ कि कितना ज़्यादा प्रोटीन को एक बुरी चीज़ माना जाता है इंडिया में। समोसे खा लो, कोई माँ बाप मना नहीं कर रहा, गोलगप्पे खा लो, कोई मना नहीं कर रहा है, टिक्की खा लो, बर्गर खा लो, सैंडविच खा लो, पिज़्ज़ा खा लो, कोई नहीं बोल रहा है। वे प्रोटीन का डब्बा ला के तो दिखाओ, कैसे पीछे पड़ेंगे माँ बाप? अब उनकी भी गलती नहीं, उनको अकल नहीं है, नॉलेज नहीं है, किसी ने सिखाया नहीं है। तुम लोग सोच रहे होगे कि इससे फ़र्क क्या पड़ता है। यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड लुक्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मेजर पार्ट प्ले करती हैं, क्योंकि जब भी इंडिया की इमेज को ख़राब किया जाता है ना वेस्टर्न्स के द्वारा, तो वो कभी भी नील, नितिन, मुकेश जैसा बंदा या फिर संधिल जैसा बंदा उठाकर बेइज्जती नहीं करते हैं। वो कोई रैंडम पतला सा
This guy looks like Rajesh Kutrapali.
या फिर
Oh my
संधिल
god!
जैसा बंदा
Oh
उठा
my god! What have I just done? Okay, forget that I made this comment. Oh my god! This sounded so Indian racist. I'm sorry, but I mean the guy actually looks like him. No, you know what? Screw it. I don't consider this right because the guy actually reminded me, and not because he's Indian, because he actually reminded me of him. I'm not gonna apologize for it. I take that back.
उठाकर बेइज्जती नहीं करते हैं। वो कोई रैंडम पतला सा स्किनी फैट, छोटी हाइट वाला और गंदी फेशियल हेयर, गंदी स्किन वाले बंदे को उठाएंगे एंड उसके साथ पूरा इंडिया का नाम जोड़ देते हैं। तो अगर हम लोग अपनी डाइट को इम्प्रूव करें, अपनी स्किन केयर को करें, स्किन केयर करने वालों को छक्का बोलना बंद कर दें, मेरे जैसे यूट्यूबर्स को इनसिक्योर करने वाला बोलना बंद कर दें, एंड एक्चुअली में अपने आप को फिजिकली इम्प्रूव करें। स्पिरिचुअली तो हम बहुत माहिर हैं करने में, पता नहीं सच में है कि बस बोलते।
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. These people actually insult this guy about his physiques. Guy looks absolutely fine to me. Looks like he's doing his push-ups.
हैं, पर उसकी अकल हमें है, उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस
I heard Paruski.
भी समझते हैं, पर जब फिजिकल की बात
Hey,
आती है
I gotta listen to this one more time.
तो आपको फिजिकली इम्प्रूव करें। स्पिरिचुअली तो हम बहुत माहिर हैं करने में, पता नहीं सच में है कि बस बोलते हैं, पर उसकी अकल हमें है, उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस भी समझते हैं। पर जब फिजिकल की बात आती है तो आई गेस ये तो फर्स्ट जनरेशन है जिसको जिम जाना भी थोड़ा सा नॉर्मलाइज किया है, वो भी शहरों में। आज भी यहाँ पे गांव में कोई बच्चा जिम जाने की बात करता है तो माँ बाप बोलते हैं
Wait, what? It's not normalized in India to go to the gym? Okay, that is actually weird. I'm not gonna lie.
भाई इससे बॉडी खराब हो जाएगी, मर्द बन जाएगा बहुत जल्दी और तेरे गोटे खराब हो जाएंगे। मतलब ऐसी ऐसी मिथ हैं जिम प्रोटीन इन चीज़ों को लेकर कि आप चाहकर भी अपने आप को फिजिकली इंप्रूव नहीं कर सकते, और अगर करते हो सोशल मीडिया पे बताते हो तो जिम को तो अप्रिसिएशन मिल जाती है, पर स्किन केयर करोगे तो लोग मजाक बनाते हैं। जो लोग एक्चुअली में अच्छे खासे इन्फ्लुएंसर हैं फिजिकल फिटनेस के, वो रीलें डालती है मैंने यूज्ड टू गो टू वॉर्स, पर आज वो स्किन केयर कर रहे हैं। अरे भाई ये अच्छी बात है ना, अपनी थोपड़े को अगर आप साफ सुथरा रखोगे तो एक जेंटलमैन क्या नहीं कहलाओगे? कि अपनी स्किन को क्लियर रखना, अच्छा खाना खाना, हाई प्रोटीन खाना और अपनी लुक्स की केयर करना बुरी चीज है? इनफैक्ट अच्छी चीज है, क्योंकि मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया कभी भी नील नितिन मुकेश या सेंधिल का मजाक नहीं बनता जब इंडिया की बात करते हैं। वो किसी रैंडम से विलेज में बिना बाथरूम वाले बंदे को उठाते हैं जिसकी शक्ल भी बुरी सी है एंड उसके साथ मजाक बना देते हैं। तो आई गेस हम लोगों को सीरियसली अपनी लुक्स को इम्प्रूव करना चाहिए। लुक्स पर तो बेसिकली चैनल पर मैंने इतनी बातें की हैं, और
That's always the thing. I mean, you obviously take someone who you see randomly and you make fun of them. And you build an image of them. This is a whole problem where when you're trying to actually say that, okay, this guy he is the representative of India, but at the same time, the thing is, if there were like hundreds of people who saw on the internet like this, like I don't know, he probably mentioned him, Sindhil or something, maybe then people wouldn't have this image of India. But this is the image that usually comes from there, and it is wrong to be racist about it. It is absolutely wrong. But at the same time, I mean, you gotta call some facts as facts. Like this is the majority of video that you see on TikTok. Unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe it's the Western's fault that they push the algorithm to show you these types of video more, or maybe it's someone else's fault. I genuinely don't know. But that is the result we get. I don't know this guy. I actually don't know this guy, but I've seen hundreds of videos like this.
सीरियसली अपनी लुक्स को इम्प्रूव करना चाहिए। लुक्स पर तो बेसिकली चैनल पर मैंने इतनी बातें की हैं, और उसके बाद भी जानना तो लुक्स मैक्सिंग का मेरा कोर्स भी है, वो भी चेकआउट कर सकते हो। बट मैं तुम लोगों को प्रोटीन का एक सच बताना चाहता हूँ। इंडिया में इतने बुरे दिन आ गए ना, इतने बुरे दिन कि इंडियंस आर ईटिंग लेस प्रोटीन देन 25 ईयर्स अगो। इंडियन मार्केट रिसर्च ब्यूरो ने अभी एक स्टडी की है, रिसर्च की है कि 1993 से 2004 तक इंडियंस एवरेज में 60 ग्राम मर्द जो है वो प्रोटीन खाते थे, बट 2011 से आज दिन तक वो रेशो जो है वो घट चुका है एंड पहुंच गया 56 ग्राम पर। एंड ये तो रिसर्चेस जो है आपको पता ही है बड़े बड़े घरों में होती हैं, वहाँ तो 56 ग्राम खा लेते होंगे। इमेजिन करो एक्चुअली में क्या हो रहा है। मेरे एज के बच्चे जो हैं वो किस तरह से चिप्स कुरकुरे खा रहे हैं। जो लड़कियां हैं खासकर, उन्होंने आगे बच्चों को जन्म देना है, वो दिन रात जंक फूड पेल रही हैं, चिप्स खाती हैं, उनको कोई डाइट से मतलब नहीं है। अंडे खाना टैबू है, दूध ऐसे करके पीती हैं, लस्सी पीने वाले मजाक बना दिया गया है, गुटखा खाने वालों को कोई कुछ बोलता नहीं है। तो पूरा का पूरा सिस्टम ही अगेंस्ट जा रहा है अपनी सेल्फ डेवलपमेंट के, फिजिकल डेवलपमेंट के। जब ये ही
Damn, I didn't know it was such a big of a problem in that country. I should ask some of my colleagues probably to react on this video with me.
लड़कियां बड़ी होंगी, इनके बच्चे होंगे, वो और ज़्यादा स्टंटेड होंगे, और ज़्यादा उनका बोन मास कम होगा, क्योंकि मम्मियों ने प्रोटीन ही नहीं खाई कभी बचपन में। जितने भी मर्द हैं उन सबका ना मसल मास जो है 30 के बाद लूज होना शुरू हो जाता है, इवन वुमेन में। बट अगर हम वर्कआउट करते रहें, अच्छी खासी प्रोटीन खाते रहें, तो ये दिक्कत नहीं आती है। हम अपने आप को लंबे समय इंडिविजुअल बना सकते हैं। या जो 73% मर्द स्टडी के डेफिशिएंट हैं, उनको प्रोटीन एक एंड इसीलिए मैक्सिमम के हैं, खासकर सेंट्रल इंडिया या रशियन लड़कियों से कंपेयर किया, स्ट्रक्चर में छोटे, विड्थ में छोटे, स्कल। यही इस वीडियो के कमेंट में भी आप जो कि सवाल नहीं उठाना चाहता है, बस उसे
interesting thing that I never knew that the Indians were, but the reason that is something I have to ask some of my colleagues. Damn.
लगती है, कभी ये नहीं पूछेगा भाई उसको अभी भी बनाऊं अंकित बयानपुरी लाइफस्टाइल जी रहे हो क्या? नहीं जी रहे हो? अरे भाई अच्छा खा लो, हाई 5 डेकेड में
It works. So my meat works. It gives us. And we're actually today.
हाइट कितनी बढ़ा ली है वहां पे, एवरेज सेंटीमीटर पहुंच गई है ऑलमोस्ट 5 7 5 8। इस पॉइंट में मैं यही टेक अवे दूंगा, दुनिया है दरिंदे बैठिए, आपको आप लाड़ी मत मारो। अच्छा दूसरे लोग 100 बार सोचे यार तुम्हारा मजाक बनाने से पहले तुम बदसूरत ताकि ना दिखो, क्योंकि मैं संदिल इन दोनों का मजाक क्यों मजाक बनता है, क्योंकि ये दुनिया बहुत जालिम है मेरे भाई। सूरत लोगों को बुली ऑल द क्लास से टीचर बुली करती आती है उन बच्चों को जिन गला है या कंघी अच्छे से नहीं बजी। आपकी लुक्स पर आपको हमेशा की सच्चाई है। एंड वन ऑफ द
Such a nice creator. Look at his words. Truth of humanity. There is one of us do. It's see. We can see another person. We can look straight up to. Only based on what we can see, we can make some conclusions, because we might not even know anything else about the person, but we look at them and we see something. It's not necessarily thing to be done. It is true and it will always be. And I'm glad that this guy doesn't go and points. He thought this video bad. They do stuff, do some online of them. But this guy comes and says, okay, yes, we are getting made fun, but we need to understand this is one of the greatest racism. I'm actually going to probably give this as a title for this type of behavior will. Oh, you're doing fantastic. Like, keep talking. I'm just going to enjoy your voice for the next 8.5 minutes, maybe by slightly interrupting you a couple times.
बिगेस्ट सीजन जो इंडिया को जब इमेजिन करते हैं इंडिया, तो उनको कोई स्लम वाला इमेजिन होता है, उनको हिमाचल जैसी जगह ये तो वो यही इंडिया को लेकर एक हैं और बदसूरत लोग रहते हैं। तो हमें अपने ऊपर चाहिए, हम अपने आप को वेल ड्रेस रखें, अपनी प्रोटीन को फुल पुट ऑन करें, वो स्किनी फैट में, क्योंकि ये चीज तो यही कर सकता हूँ, ये चेंज तो अपनी बॉडी कॉम्पोजिशन तो चेंज कर सकते हो। तो प्लीज स्टार्ट ईटिंग हाई प्रोटीन फूड्स। एक्सरसाइज किया जाता है वो आपको पता है ये जो करी नाम आया एवोल्यूशन क्या है? 2007 एटमॉस्फेयर में हूँ, तो मुझे पता है उस ना ये शुरुआती समय था ये वर्ड्स करी का। बेसिकली ये इंडियन से एक स्मेल आती है जो दही की बनती। तो बेसिकली बात ये है कि स्मेली होते हैं, बदबूदार होते हैं, ज्यादा स्वेट होते हैं। मैं ऐसा लगा ये बात है, अगर तो गुस्सा आ रहा है तो तुम स्टूपिड होगा। दूसरा
if you the thing. That is the thing. Like, you can't just walk around and inventing different lies in your head, uh, someone else's image. The fact sound ways of if a person smells beautiful, and I love that this guy is pointing it out. I love you.
वेल तो कर रहे हो कि हाँ हम बदबू आ रहे हैं, हमसे मैक्सिमम लोगों से बदबू आती है। आपको बदबू आती है इंडिया में ही इत्रों का है। अरे भाई वो लोग ही ही नहीं बदलती, पूरी कंट्री बदल जाती है क्योंकि लोग ही
So
ना जो कर रहे हैं उनको कर रहे हैं, उनको इनसिक्योरिटी बेचने वाला बोल दिया। सीरियसली लग रहा है लड़के अपनी ग्रूमिंग पर वो बदबू जो आ रही है
we gotta prove this little girl that we're sound wrong. We gotta that the back operation. Let's freaking do it.
इस पर फोकस कर रहे हैं। अब देखो भाई बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग है इंडिया, मानो या ना मानो। वेस्टर्न लोग जो है ना वहाँ जब वो अपनी में मजाक नहीं बना रहे होते, आपस में डिस्कशन कर रहे होते हैं, तो मैंने बहुतों को पढ़ा है लिखते कि कैसे हम ऑफिस में जाते हैं तो आ जाती है कि वहां पर कोई इंडियन है, टिक्के की तरीके स्मेल आती है। अब वो मसाला होता है, अब जो करते हैं वही निकलता है एंड जब उसके इर्द गिर्द बॉडी में भी चढ़ जाता है। अब खाने की बट दिक्कत ये है कि उससे मिलकर बहुत ज्यादा फैल जाती है और बहुत ही गंदी बदबू आती है। और ऐसा काम करें एंड हम लोग तो इतने डर्टी हैं। मैं पंजाब में गया था और इससे पहले कोई ऑफेंड हो जाए देखा हुआ।
I'm subscribing to this. I'm simply supporting his channel. I am simply supporting his channel. I don't care what you say, people. This last phrase should become the highlight of these reactions.
अब मैं बेसिकली ठीक है, और इससे पहले कोई ऑफेंड हो जाए, आई डोंट गिव अ फक, मैं बिल्कुल सच कह रहा हूँ, अपनी आंखों से देखा हुआ। मुझे
I love that the curse words stay the same in Hindi as they do in English. Go on, man, one more time.
बेसिकली ठीक है, और इससे पहले कोई ऑफेंड हो जाए, आई डोंट गिव अ फक, मैं बिल्कुल सच कह रहा हूँ, अपनी आंखों से देखा हुआ। मुझे सड़कें हैं उधर लेफ्ट और राइट नालियां बनी हैं, आपने भी देखा होगा सड़कों के इर्द गिर्द लेफ्ट राइट नालियां होती हैं और साथ में दुकानें होती हैं। अब यहाँ हिमाचल में क्या है, कोई घर बनाता है तो गड्ढा करता है, जब पोटी होती है तो गड्ढे में चली जाती है। उधर क्या था, जगराओं में इतने घर बन चुके हैं कि गड्ढा करने की जगह नहीं है, तो जब पोटी करते हैं लोग तो सीधा नालियों में तैर रही है। लेफ्ट में भी पोटी तैर रही है, राइट में भी पोटी तैर रही है, और आप बाजार में घूम रहे हो, किसी ने यहाँ पर टिक्के की दुकान लगाई है, किसी ने यहाँ पर मोमो का स्टॉल लगाया है, बट साथ में टटियाँ तैर रही हैं। बात ये कि हमारा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू बिल्कुल ही डिफरेंट है। हम लोग जो टटियाँ इर्द गिर्द देख रहे हैं, और दिल्ली में क्या है, दिल्ली में हिमाचल से जाओ तो सबसे पहले पहाड़ दिखते हैं, है ना, पर ऐसे पहाड़ नहीं दिखते हैं, कूड़े के पहाड़ दिखते हैं, डंपिंग ग्राउंड, इतने लंबे लंबे डंपिंग ग्राउंड, और बदबू चलती है। मतलब कोई हिमाचल से जाए, ही विल एग्री विद मी, मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ। आप सो जाओ, आपकी नींद ऑटोमेटिकली खुलेगी, आपको पता लग जाएगा दिल्ली पहुंच गए, गंदी सी बदबू आती है उस कूड़े के ढेर से। तो मोस्ट ऑफ द इंडिया ऐसा ही है, गंदा है, और लोगों को बचपन से क्योंकि आदतें पड़ी हैं इतनी गंदी बदबू सूंघने की, तो उनको अपने शरीर की बदबू पता ही नहीं लगती कुछ है। पर्सपेक्टिव की बात है, जो अंग्रेज सूंघ रहा है हमें, उसको तो वो नजर आ रहा ना कि वो कितने साफ वातावरण से था और अब उसको इतनी गंदी बदबू आ रही है। वेराज जो इंडियन है वो कूड़ा सूंघ रहा है भाई, टट्टियां सूंघ रहा है, उसको तो अपनी बॉडी आहा कितनी हसीन लग रही होगी, वो फील ही नहीं हो रहा होगा कि ये गंदी बदबू है। तो कुल मिलाकर दो चीजें जो कि हम इंडियंस अपने आप में फटाफट फिक्स कर सकते हैं, ज्यादा लंबा टाइम भी नहीं है। फर्स्ट लुक्स, अपनी प्रोटीन खाएं, मसल पुट ऑन करें, थोड़ा अपने ग्रूमिंग को फिक्स करें, वो गंदी सी मूंछ ना उगाएं, अपने हेयर स्टाइल को फिक्स करें, अपनी जुड़ी हुई आईब्रो।
We're trying to find a lot of the times people who just this is not only to Indians, but the fact that there's a lot of people growing mustache and beards simply because they're too lazy to shave. That annoys me a lot. Any race, I don't care if you're Asian, Chinese, if you're Asian, Indian, black, if you don't, you too lazy, and I feel that we might not get along.
अपनी स्किन केयर करें। ऐसे लोगों को वेरी वेरी प्राउड ऑफ इट। दोस्ती नहीं की, लोग ट्रोल कर रहे हैं उसे, 6 मंथ पहले नहीं होता था। आई थिंक मेरे चैनल का हाथ है, कोई अगर आज के टाइम कर रहे हैं तो भी ट्रोल किया जाता है कि तू कितना इनसिक्योर है, ये क्या, ये है कि अपने मुंह की केयर ना करना, कि हो रहा है, चेंज हो रहा है, बट इसी के प्रमोट करना है कि प्रोटीन खाओ, कितनी है। जिस तरह लोगों को ये नहीं पता है रेबीज कितना, पता नहीं कैसे 4 लोग बचे हैं और मिलियंस ऑफ मिलियंस डेथ हुई है रेबीज से। सेम पे लोगों को ये नहीं पता कि प्रोटीन का फायदा कितना है। ये जरूर पता है कि खाना है, पर ये नहीं पता कि खाते हैं तो बदलाव कितना आता है दिमाग में, सोचने में, ऊंचा सोचने में, अमीर बनने में, टेस्टोस्टेरोन में, मसल मास में, लुक्स में। तो इसीलिए हमें प्रोटीन को भी प्रमोट करना है, स्किन केयर को भी प्रमोट करना है और फिजिकल फिटनेस को प्रमोट करना है, स्किनी फैट सिंड्रोम को फिक्स करना है। ये बताना है कि इतना बड़ा पेट अगर बाहर को निकला छाती के बाहर चलते वक्त, तो दैट इज नॉट सेक्सी। खाते पीते घर के नहीं हो तुम, मोटे घर के हो, अनहेल्दी घर के हो, जल्दी मरोगे, तुम्हारा नाम उछाला जाएगा दूसरे देशों में, क्योंकि तुम्हारी बॉडी शेप डिसगस्टिंग है, उल्टी आती है उस बॉडी शेप को देखकर। हमें ये प्रमोट करना चाहिए क्योंकि एस्थेटिक्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। कोई चीज सुंदर हो तो उसको देख के मजा आता है, उसका मजाक कम बनता है। एंड उसके साथ ही साथ हमें अपनी
Who is this girl that everyone's trying to take a picture with her? That is probably a bigger question that I have.
क्लीनलीनेस पर फोकस करना है। वी शुड बी क्लीन। नहाना रोज चाहिए। नहा रहे हैं तो जो अपनी बदबू है, अगर खुद को भले बदबू ना महसूस होती है क्योंकि कूड़े के पास रहते हैं, तो एटलीस्ट ये एम्पैथाइज तो करना चाहिए ना कि दूसरे बंदे को होगी, क्योंकि वो कूड़े के पास नहीं रहता है। एंड इसीलिए मैंने पिछली वीडियो में कहा था कोरियन से चीज़ें सीखो, स्किन केयर, फैशन सेंस, ड्रेसिंग सेंस, अपने शरीर को कैसे साफ सुथरा रखें। क्योंकि अगर हम ये सब चीज़ें कर लें तो इतनी सारी रेसिज्म ऑनलाइन वाली होती है ना, मजाक बनता है इंडियंस का कि स्ट्रीट शीट रहे हैं, ये इसी से फिक्स हो जाएगी यार। अगर शरीर से बदबू नहीं आएगी और दिखने में सुंदर होंगे तो क्यों कोई मजाक बनाएगा? फिर एक्चुअल रीजंस के लिए मजाक बनाएगा कि इंडिया ग्रो हो रहा है टॉप 5 जीडीपी में।
I genuinely have nothing to say. I actually have nothing to say. Addition, this guy's doing the talk for me. Like, just read the subtitles and you'll get it.
पर अभी जो मजाक बनता है वो लोग इस वे में बनाते हैं कि हम पता नहीं कितने स्लम्स में रहते हैं यार, कोई पहाड़ नहीं होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा, हर जगह गंदगी होगी, जो कि है, काफी इंडिया में है। पर पूरा इंडिया वैसा नहीं है ना, कुछ गिने चुने तत्वों की वजह से पूरा इंडिया पिसता है। साउथ भी पिस जाता है, नॉर्थ भी पिस जाता है। एंड वी शुड फोकस ऑन आवरसेल्व्स। खुद से क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहिए, हम अपने आप में क्या फिक्स करें? क्यों अपना ही नाम खराब करना है बदबू निकाल के? क्योंकि ये बहुत गंदा नाम लगता है। मेरे को चिढ़ मचती जब इंटरनेट पे लोग बोलते हैं करी लोग, एंड ये बहुत ज्यादा फेमस वर्ड सालों में, ऑलमोस्ट जैसे एन वर्ड है रहेगा तुम्हें अगर सब इंडियंस को करी बोलना शुरू कर देना। तो ये हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि हमें एस्थेटिकली एंड खुशबू की बात में दोनों में इंप्रूव करना चाहिए खुद को। आई होप आप लोग ये बात दिल में लेने की जगह दिमाग में लोगे, समझोगे मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ और अपने देश के हित के लिए कह रहा हूँ। मैं कोई अपने देशवासियों से नफरत नहीं करता हूँ, मैं भी हिंदुस्तानी हूँ, मैं भी इंडियन हूँ, मैं भी भारतीय हूँ। एंड इसीलिए मैं चाहता हूँ कि हमारा इंडियंस का जो नाम है वो क्लीनलीनेस के लिए जाना जाए। वर्ल्ड की फर्स्ट सिविलाइजेशन कितनी साफ हो सकती है उसके लिए जाना जाए, ना कि ये बदबू वाली चीजें करी, ना कि ये सड़कों में मैंने बताया टट्टियां तैर रही, इन चीजों के लिए नहीं जाना चाहिए यार। अगर मेरा मन खराब हो रहा है वहाँ, जैसे मैंने बताया पंजाब में जाकर टट्टियां तैरती देखकर या दिल्ली में वो कूड़े के पहाड़ देखकर, जस्ट इमेजिन एक अमेरिकन या वेस्टर्न इतनी साफ जगहों से, पहाड़ों से, ठंडे इलाकों से इधर आ रहा है, तो इतनी गर्मी, ऊपर से वो पहाड़ दिख रहे हैं, टट्टियां दिख रही हैं, कितना गंदा लगेगा यार बंदे को। और वो कैसे ना फिर रेसिस्ट रिमार्क मारे यार, खुद अपने आप को उसकी जगह रखो ना, और जब रखोगे तभी समझ आएगा कि हाँ भाई हम में भी कुछ फॉल्ट्स हैं जो कि हमें फिक्स एक्चुअली में करने चाहिए। सो प्लीज मैं विनती करता हूँ कि प्रमोट करो स्किन केयर, प्रमोट करो लुक्स मैक्सिंग, प्रमोट करो हेल्थ मैक्सिंग, प्रोटीन मैक्सिंग, प्रमोट करो ये बदबू
Promote
को
it all.
कंट्रोल में रखना। और ये जितने भी सिग्मा विग्मा जो है ना ये ट्रोल करते हैं स्किन केयर करने वालों को, उन सबको दबाकर ट्रोल किया करो भाई, बकवास पिल रहे हैं वो लोग। और हंसी की बात ये है कि जो ये वीडियोस बनाते हैं वो खुद भी सुंदर होते हैं, और इनसे इंस्पायर्ड पता है कौन हो जाता है? कोई ऐसा बंदा जिसके मुंह में भर भर कैकने और वो इंस्पायर हो जाता है, हा स्किन केयर नहीं करूंगा। अरे भाई जो कह रहा है ना वो बहुत सुंदर है, ये तो ये बात हो गई, अमीर बंदा कह रहा है मनी डज नॉट मैटर। बाकी अगर आप लोग इंटरेस्टेड हो कि लुक्स मैक्सिंग का पूरा सर से पैर तक जानना है कि कैसे करें, तो मेक श्योर चेक आउट
So
माय चैट
he's
मैक्स
like
कोर्स,
doing
लिंक
an
इज
advertisement in the end. I mean, this video has single-handedly defeated racism. And it will. Because moral of the story is very simple. It all starts from you. Therefore, if you want to fix something from outside, you first need to fix something from the inside. And that is why you need to take self accountability. You need to be self accountable because only by fixing those type of things you will actually by step, but it all starts from you. Guys, this was a great video that we just watched. And I really hope that you enjoyed it. It was complicated at the beginning and was in general complicated because he was reading the subtitles. My apologies. I will try to fix it for the next streams. But damn, that was a very deep video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this reaction. Make sure that if you're watching this on replay or on YouTube right now live, you have put a like or you hit the dislike button. And with that being said, I hope to see you in my other reactions. Okay, we got internet problems again. How do I check my internet connection? Yo, fellas on Twitch, can someone commentate and tell me if we're doing good? Because I still have another reaction to do and I need the internet to be good. I think we're good. Yeah, I might as well jump to the next video. But that was one of the best videos I watched in general. So good. Such a great reaction. Wait.
Jahrelang habe ich
Okay, yeah, we got some advertisements, which obviously I'm not gonna show you because I don't get paid for them. Okay, with that being said, let's cut to the reaction. So guys, how Gen Alpha will change society forever. A video by a guy named Novi. I genuinely don't know this guy. Maybe he's like another Zenovi. But he's got 12,000 subscribers and yet he has 1.3 million views on this specific video about Gen Alpha. Now, we call this stream Problems of Nowadays, Modern Problems. We call this stream Modern Problems. And one of the modern problems that we see right now are coming from Gen Alpha. Why? Because they're our future. They're the children that are going to, depending on how will they get raised, how will they be raised, we build it's about their problems, why it will change. Let's watch in
on track to be the most
genuinely knew that this will be the two in the stream about modern problems.
Mindless consumption, illusion of mental illness and violent crime to rampant consumerism and alarmism, trading. Worldwide unhinged inflation and technology that's becoming progressively more invasive, and you get a recipe that could destroy the minds and lives of millions. This is
Wait, I gotta check my connection again. King hell. Come on now. Can you see me good? Right, I think you can see me good. Gotta try to not forget to cut this video. Okay, let me try to stream again.
is the generation of your little cousins, your younger siblings, or maybe even your kids. And while it may seem that these characteristics closely resemble those of Gen Z, there's one minor distinction that makes Gen A something that has never been seen in human history.
Not even close.
Now, for those of you born anywhere between the 80s and the early 2000s, you might think of your life thus far in two main parts. Life without the internet and life with the internet. You recall a time when phones were actually used for talking and when computers served as a tool rather than an alternate universe. You probably spent most of your free time outside or with other people. You were fully immersed in tangible reality. And
I still did it, I'm not gonna lie. Although no, I actually get to surfing the internet a lot.
your digital experiences were probably limited to a couple hours a day. Rather than scrolling through 300 different TikToks in an hour, you watched a couple episodes of your favorite show. When you were bored, you were forced to make use of your imagination or just sit there and enjoy the silence for a little while. Fast forward to 2023 and your life is probably completely different. You likely spend most of your time on a phone or computer, and while that might be problematic, it doesn't change the fact that your developmental years were spent without the presence of this invasive technology. And because of that, you have a firm comprehension of the contrast between the two eras, which allows you to quickly recognize the issues unique to modernity, even if you might
Also, like pointing out important, like your brain already is functioning enough to sometimes say no to these kind of stuff.
fall victim to them sometimes. But what if you didn't have that point of reference? What if you were born in the last decade? What if you were thrust right into the history? What would your be? This question encapsulates the one-of-a-kind situation faced by Generation Alpha, and no one seems to have an answer to it. In fact, no one has any clue how it's going to play out. And this isn't your typical case of generations pointing fingers at each other. This is an era that could see the most profound societal transformation in human history.
I mean, AI is already so influential that it will be weird if it doesn't bring
The womb, where the fetus is already being impacted by record levels of obesity and amounts of radiation from digital devices. It begins to observe the people around it.
Gotta go check my connection again.
Think of it as an instinctual human. Reaching 6 months old, babies already touch screen. It's a
What? 6 months?
third of babies having the ability to swipe. If you've been around, they're have far more interest in screens than any other toy. Considering the fact that the active world of a phone screen is simply unlike anything else. The lights, sounds, and rapid movements are unbelievably to a baby's brain. By the age of 5 or iPad.
I think I had my first. Wait, I might even show you if I can find it. Yeah, this is actually gonna be so. I still was eight days with me. I'm not sure if I can open it, but yeah, this is so hilarious. Why is my stream so lagging? Screw it. Wait, give me a sec. You here see one of the greatest things ever. My first ever phone. And I don't remember when I got my first iPad. Was it probably when I was 10? But this was the phone that I carried for like 5 years. So many great memories with it. I'm not gonna lie. And this generation's already carrying iPads.
Completely useless. This is where they first encounter the confusing and detached world of the internet, where they will spend around 6 hours a day scrolling through mindless short-form content or watching.
That is the problem. They're not going to work, invest into crypto, I don't know, or work. They're going to be scrolling and basically destroying their dopamine consumption.
Other people play with toys. And if their parents didn't take the time to enable a child lock,
Oh! Why is this the type of thing they're going to see? I don't want my kids to watch this.
it's likely they'll come across something that even adults find scarring. And you obviously can't expect a kid
Wait. John Ridlin 2.0. I think there's a reason this is called 2.0. What happened to the first account, John? Did it get banned? You are perfect. Grown-ass man. Be strong. Fabulous. Awesome. Embarrassing, that is the word.
And you obviously can't expect a kid to be able to moderate themselves, which is why it's the parents' responsibility. But this can be much harder than it sounds. You see, having a smartphone has become standard for children as young as 7, because
Bro, what do you mean 7? 8! 8 freaking years old. This was all I had. This is all I had. Look at this. This is beauty. This is the phone that my kids are going to be having when they are 7 or 8. Freaking iPhones.
because of this, the entire
They
culture
don't need an iPhone. They're not working. They're not streaming. Why do they need an iPhone for? Development? I can give them my own when I think it's good. It's actually a genius thing. Just giving them my own phone for development. That might in some way work out.
of this generation is dictated by the internet. Everything they talk about or do for fun is sourced from the internet. So the one kid whose parents wouldn't buy them a phone is bound to be an outcast from the 2nd grade. Their ability to converse, socialize, and play is limited since they don't have access to the digital world that all the other kids are living in. And we know what excessive internet use does to adults, so we can only assume the impact would be much harsher on young children. But we also know how terrible social isolation can be, especially at a young age. So this leaves parents with a hard choice. Either they expose their 7-year-old to the brain rot of the internet, or they shield them from it and inhibit their ability to develop socially.
No. We do it easily. So look, if you and your friends hang out in Brawl Stars, you can hang out with your friends on Brawl Stars, but you're gonna hang out for 1 hour on my phone. You will still socialize, but you won't become a dummy. Like the problem is, in order to raise, I think, a successful kid. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not having kids yet. So I don't know really how does this work, but in my opinion, if you want to make it correct and you have a choice between the two, you need to find the perfect balance. And that means giving something from the digital world, but not too much.
Okay, fast forward to the current day, where the oldest of Gen A is about
Do you want me to give you my new $2,000?
No, we don't.
years old. While many kids at this point will have had some level of developmental impairment, the real damage has yet to be done. Around this age is the time when many kids start to develop worldviews, opinions, and identities. They begin to comprehend some of the underlying dynamics of society and human nature, and naturally, their curiosity directs them towards the internet. And while the internet can be good for this, it has a far greater potential to ruin it. The internet,
Like, I don't remember whose quote is this, but as I remember someone saying that you have access to 100 times, 1,000 times more information that my generation had. But because you don't know that, your generation is 1,000 times dumber. It was so true. Like, the more access, it seems to me like the more access you give to people, the more confused they get because they don't know what to do with all that access, and they eventually turn into the wrong path. Like, this is true. We got with the internet, an average human being can create so many stuff compared to the years like 300s. But if we look at this now, do those people still do it? I don't know. Hey, we got a comment in the Twitch suggesting us to watch something. Yo, if you're still there, comment. Please just tell me what is this video about, because I usually get a lot of, links that can get me banned. And if it's a decent video, I will react to it after we finish watching this video.
internet is filled with useful information and resources, but it's completely smothered by masses of sensationalist garbage that's designed to hijack your emotions and get your click. And we adults fall for this all the time, so why wouldn't young children? The algorithm isn't going to serve them something educational or appropriate for their age. It's going to serve them a fresh batch of mind-numbing waste.
Bro, don't
It's going to
put this
serve them the
thing in
same
my
content
face.
that everyone else clicked on. And due to the nature of the internet, this is almost always something that's crafted to be as shocking and stimulating as possible. Or in other words, something that doesn't align with reality. And this works a lot like a drug. It's fast-paced, interesting, and gives you full control. As long as you keep swiping, it keeps delivering. It offers everything that reality lacks and more. And since Gen A has been exposed to this world from such a young age, its effects will have a much longer time to incubate, with most of that time being during some of the most important years of mental development. As a result, Gen A will likely see a much bigger spike in mental illness than Gen Z, and at a much younger age. Everything from depression to anxiety will be more rampant than ever. The less common disorder among Gen Z, known as internet psychosis, will likely become more widespread among Gen A. And
What a great generation I'm living in. And my kids, yeah. While everyone will be suffering from anxiety, we are going to be taking over the world, I'm telling you.
everything only gets worse from here. You see, one of the coping mechanisms we have for the illness and emptiness caused by our modern habits is to double down and dive even deeper. And through this, many people actually find an outlet. Enter the toxic wastelands of Twitter and Reddit. Some of the people who
I mean, this video is 7 months old. So look at the development of AI nowadays. And imagine how much worse it's gonna get with Gen Alpha.
need help the most come to these sites in search of an identity and fulfillment. In doing so, they come across a vast array of different political
Then you don't know much about history.
and cultural rabbit holes. Eventually, they find one appealing enough and allow it to completely take control of their identity and personality. And this is what has caused political and cultural discourse to become so diluted and polarizing. When a person's entire identity is completely reliant on certain ideas or beliefs, a simple questioning of those beliefs is an attack on them as a human being. And this problem will only be worse with Gen A down the line. Gen A doesn't know what the more tame political climate of the past looks like. They weren't around for the time when most people didn't really care or think about politics at all. By 2016, the oldest of Gen A was 6, and they got to witness the unprecedented 2016 election. Everything that has happened since 2016 is the only experience or knowledge they have about politics, which will heavily shape how they view it as they mature.
Oh my
And this will have
God.
massive implications
so
down the
true.
line. Gen A will likely turn out to be even more radical and zealous than Gen Z, and the internet will be their main outlet of expressing it. And those who manage to avoid this
I actually disagree. They will be probably much more pussies. They will be strong on the internet, but when the shit will get hard, that is where they may crumble. And I think that is actually the problem that's gonna be faced, that Gen Alpha is going to be facing.
trap won't have it much easier. As society becomes more divided and polarized, it becomes harder for those floating in between to find meaning and a sense of community. Because of this, Gen A will also be more nihilistic than Gen Z.
I said this in the last stream, and I'm going to say this again. Fuck nihilism.
And while this is terrible for us, not everyone loses here. Modern corporations stand to profit massively from this. If you take a generation suffering from mental illness, meaninglessness, and the inability to critically think, and you pair it with the fact that it's the largest generation in human history, you get something that corporate America could
This
only
is so hilarious because we're talking about the falling numbers of population, and all of a sudden this is the most populated, this is the biggest generation, like the most births were given to Gen Alpha.
pair it with the fact that it's the largest generation in human
This is the largest generation, guys.
history, you get something that corporate America could only dream of. Corporations have already taken note of this with Gen Z, using the masses of data they produce through their excessive social media use in order to make advertising more predatory and mind-reading. And this has worked fantastically for them. But in many ways, Gen Z is simply just a warm-up for Gen A. Since Gen A will spend even more time scrolling, they will produce even more data for corporations, which will then be used to make advertising even more effective. So as Gen A matures and enters the workforce, consumer spending and corporate profits will soar even higher. The mental instability paired with large swaths of data at corporations' disposal will make business easier than ever. As a result, the inflation-induced poverty we see today will only continue to get worse. Consumerism and materialism will be more prevalent than ever, but not in the traditional sense. You see, in the past, these things were exhibited through clothes, cars, houses, and jewelry. But that was back in the 2010s when people valued reality over the digital world. We're talking about 2035, when Gen A is in their 20s. While video game cosmetics and virtual reality existed before, they'll be the standard now. People will now pay for virtual clothes, virtual mansions, and virtual supercars as if they were real, and they will experience it all through a VR headset. And corporations will be happy to deliver, considering the fact that it's not real and costs nothing to produce. People will spend half their day working just to make enough money to sustain their physical bodies and virtual life. And as time goes on, the corporations behind this continue to gain more leverage over the people as they become more dependent on their product. The only thing that will remain unchanged is Western corporations' exploitation of third world labor to produce everything. And it's around this point that a hyper-reality will officially come into existence, alongside the beginning of the end of our species. Now, this is a problem that will take another decade to develop, but will require some serious intervention to prevent. And so far, no one is taking it all that seriously, with experts referring to
There is actually one thing that may intervene into this, I believe. But it's a very, I don't want to talk about this because it's going to lead a lot of wrong thoughts.
the situation as an unintentional global experiment. We've seen how a lot of this plays out with Gen Z, and it's been nothing short of tragic. Gen Z has declined in almost every measure that matters, and the internet has made us painfully aware of it. To think that this cycle is going to repeat itself with another generation, and that no one is really standing up to it, shows you just how much everyone cares. The reality is that even though younger people are suffering from these problems the most, it's affecting people of all ages. And the entire situation is a catch-22. Our way of dealing with these problems is the same behavior that causes them in the first place. The only real way to end this vicious cycle would be to completely desert many of these modern technologies. But this option wouldn't be without problems either, as a
That
large
is
part of our
going to be a
economy is
big
reliant on this
problem.
technology. Many of the largest companies in the world are the producers of this technology, and they employ millions of us. So if they go under, so do we. The next 10 years could prove to be some of the most confusing and problematic years in human history. And while we can make a rough guess as to how things will play out, there's really no limit to what could happen.
I mean, guys, What can I say? I like this guy. I like this guy. I might subscribe to him. What can I say? This is going to be. Wait, let me go full screen. We are entering such a cool time where it's up to us to conquer the world. So, moral of the story, in the world of chaos, become the one that stands on top. And guys, if you have a functioning brain, we can so surely do it, guys. This was Zeno77 talking to you today. This was yet another reaction from or talking about different problems in society, specifically about Gen Alpha. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun for you to watch. Maybe not really fun, but at least interesting to think and discuss. In any case, what I can tell you for sure is that I will read every single comment that you write down. So please feel free to do it. Feel free to do it even if you disliked the video, but also feel free to do it if you liked the video. And I'm not going to hold you for long. This was Zeno77, and I'll see you in my other reactions. Let's conquer the world. Woo! I gotta. So, I'm going to check the link that was sent by one of our viewers who already left the stream. Oh yeah, he sent me a music video. It's all bad. So, I'm not sure that I want to start another video because it's gonna take longer and I still have some stuff to do. So with that being said, it's 1 a.m. at my country and we almost did a 1 hour stream. So I thank you all for sitting this through the whole stream, and I will see you in my other reactions.